Hey guys, welcome to the 16th episode of Aeroland. In this episode I will be finishing up the queue line of this ride over here in the village, and after this I am finally going to start working on the first roller coaster of the park. It has taken a long time before I finally started to do that, but it's finally going to happen in this episode. As you can see, I'm placing some more trees and stuff around this queue line over here, and what I do is I'm looking from the other side if the trees are like generating a nice view from the other side of the village, because from this side it doesn't really matter where the trees are placed, but from the other side I wanted to have it look a certain way. So I decided to make like a roof above part of the queue line, and I wasn't really sure how to do it, so at a certain point I was just like, let's just start building and see what happens, and if I don't like how it turns out I'll just redo it. But it turned out looking pretty good in my opinion, so I just left it the way it was. And this was basically just a little test to see how it worked out, but it looked pretty good, so I decided to take this same design around the corner of this queue line, all around the blue house. And I'm trying to add a few small wooden beams under an angle of 45 degrees, so it looks like it's actually supporting something. And as you can see, because the queue line is going like down the stairs, I will have to add a few more beams on the far side, because it just looks silly now to have these 6 meter high beams with only the roof on them. So I decided to add a few more beams like at that place. First I was adding a few more lanterns on the queue line so it's lit up at night. And here I am adding the extra beams at the queue line. And that's basically all I did over here, and it looks out. It turned out looking pretty nice, and I'm just adding a few more lanterns to make sure everything is lit up. Adding a few more details to this house to finish it up a little bit, and then it's time to place some more bushes along the edges of these buildings, so it doesn't really look so straight anymore. Now it's just a few straight boxes slash houses, you know what I mean. Which are situated on the grass, so I'm just adding some more foliage grill to make it feel a little bit more alive, I guess. Make it feel a little bit more real. And this is about what we'll do for now. It's not really what I was aiming for, but the rest I can add later. It's finally time to make a roller coaster over here. First I want to expand this area along the path, and because the path is going around the corner I wanted to have like a small wall going around the corner as well. I'm not really sure where I want the station to be, but I want the queue line to go right next to the wall, as you can see here, and probably next to the between that wall and the station of the roller coaster. But because I wasn't sure yet, I decided to just finish up this area first by quickly expanding the area with the fences I made earlier in a few episodes back, and just fill it up with trees and bushes to make sure it doesn't look so plain anymore. And while I was doing it, I was thinking like, yes, how am I going to build this roller coaster? So the idea came to me that the queue line will pass through the wall I built earlier and the station of the roller coaster, and then go around the station to finally end up at the roller coaster itself. The idea was that I made some sort of alleyway for the queue line, and the queue line will go right next to the water and then around the station itself. And what I wanted to do is make the roller coaster go around the corner before having the drops. So I will expand the roller coaster in a different direction mostly, like at a 90 degrees angle instead of in the length direction, if that makes any sense what I'm saying. What I usually do when I build coasters is just make a lot of nice high hills with corners and just repeat that over and over. But I didn't want this roller coaster to become too boring, I guess. No, not really boring. I'm not really sure how I have to say it. So here, having one last bend around the corner, and it's time to slowly head back to the station. So making one more hill over here and seeing if the cart can make it, but it didn't, so I had to make it slightly lower before going over the lake. And I wanted the roller coaster to make like a circle over the lake and then head back into the station. But I wasn't really sure how big this circle had to be, because how you see it now, in my opinion, it was too big. Because the lake is somewhat on the small side, and if I cover like a third or a quarter of the lake with this roller coaster, that's just a little bit too much. So I tried to keep it somewhat compact, and because I couldn't really get it to work from this angle, I decided to create it from the other side of the coaster and work my way back over here. Just going to smooth out some parts of this coaster a little bit. And after that's done, I'm gonna replace this small spiral downwards because I didn't really like it. So I decided to make something similar myself. And as you can see, the roller coaster will make the whole track, and it worked out pretty nice. I'm pretty happy with the results of this roller coaster, just needed some smoothing. And that was it for this episode basically, so it's time to switch to the live part. So let's get over what I've built in this episode. I started off with the back of the queue line, with the back of the village, because it was not really finished yet, and I've added this nice, what do you call it, like roof over the queue line for this part. So it's kind of connected to this building. I might paint these walls blue as well then, because they are connected to this building and not to that, but I might keep them yellow, I don't know. In the queue line I've hung some lights on these beams, so there's lights at night. Let's have a quick look at night time. And as you can see, like the whole queue line is pretty much lit up. So around the place I've added some trees and some bushes, and I did not want to overdo it, but I think I've placed a few too little. I'm not really sure. So I think I'm gonna place a few more, and not everything like clumped together, but just a bush over here and maybe a plant over here, maybe a small tree in the middle, so it's not this open. I finally built a roller coaster in my park, and right now it seems like this pretty chaotic work of iron, but I'm gonna change that in the upcoming few episodes. In my own opinion, I'm not that good at making roller coasters, but I'm quite happy with how this one turned out. It can still use some smoothing here and there, like this bend over here can be smoothed out a little bit, but I will do that after place. I'll smooth things out, or maybe during, I'm not really sure. I think I'm going to open up this bit of the park and make a natural path go underneath the roller coaster and try to connect it over here. If that doesn't work out, I'll probably connect it a little bit further. Not really sure, I have to see how that works out, but that's going to be part of the next episode. And that way the whole path will go full circle around the lake and people can actually go from here to the roller coaster straight away, instead of having to walk all the way around the lake before they finally get here. Anyways, thanks for watching and I hope to see you in the next episode. See ya!